Hello, CBD badasses. I was listening to some training tonight, and I was listening to people being told about doing lives and getting on social media and being on their Facebook page and having conversations with people and things of that nature. And I couldn't help but think of how it used to be for me when I was a kid. You see, I've been accused at one time or another, believe it or not, I know y'all can relate to this, of talking too much. Somebody might want to tell me, would you just shut up for a minute? So I had to learn how to be quiet. I had to learn how to listen. But beyond that, do you believe that there was once a time that I would hardly say anything? Why? Because my father's first cousin, his name was James, he stuttered very badly. I mean, he would be like, yeah, he spoke like that. And my name is James, and I got to thinking, he was much older than me, but I began to think, I said, what if I keep this speech impediment that I have? Because I developed a very bad speech impediment myself. I said, what if I keep this? What if I can't get rid of it? What's going to happen? And so I began to worry, I didn't know what I was going to do. People would attempt to help me. You know how you do. People try to finish your sentences for you. You're struggling to get a word out, and you just can't pronounce the word correctly. They're telling you, just slow down, and you'll get it. They don't know what it feels like, but they're trying to tell you what you need to do to fix something. I never understood that methodology. I guess people just have a heart. They feel so badly for you. They're just trying to help. But anyway, no matter what people told me, I couldn't slow down. I was in such a hurry to get out what I wanted to say. And I began to think, I said, what? There's definitely a problem here. I was so tired of stuttering. I was bullied because of it. I was teased because of it. Kids are unmerciful. And it actually can make you grow up to not want to speak to anybody. Over time, you can grow up to not really want to have a communication with anybody or have a conversation with anybody. And I thought at a very young age, I said, man, I'm just destined to stutter like this. And think about this. This was long before social media came around. This was long before Facebook, long before Instagram. If you wanted to get something done, you had to begin to be able to describe what you wanted done. You had to say what you didn't want done. You had to speak. Those that spoke typically got what they wanted. Those that didn't, you perished. You couldn't get what you wanted. So one day, I don't know what caused me to do it. My mother had a huge library of books. They were all fiction books. All old time, Mandingo books and this time book and that time book. All books that, I really shouldn't have been reading. I shouldn't have had even been exposed to. Exposed to books like Sex and the Single Man, Sex and the Single Woman. Where in the world, me being 9 or 10 years old, I should be reading books like that. But she had it in her bookshelf. And she had a myriad of books in her bookshelf. And I tried to read every last book that was up there. Of all type of topics. How things were back in the 40s, how things were back in the 30s, how things were in slavery time, how things were in the 60s, how things are in the 70s, how things are now. I read everything I could get my hands on. And in my mind, I was thinking, I said, maybe there's not enough vocabulary. Maybe I don't have enough vocabulary at my disposal to communicate with other people. Maybe I just need more words. Because it always seemed I was lacking in what to say. I was always rushing, and then I would run out of things to say. And I was stammering over words and stuttering over words. That's a very, very painful situation to be in as a child. I can't express how painful that is. Because even adults don't have any patience for that. They did, but you just say what you got to say already? My God. Kids were unmerciful. But anyway, I took up reading. I took to it like a fish to water. Many people today don't like to read. They prefer audible books. They would do anything not to have to read out loud because they don't have a command of the English language. They don't feel comfortable. So they never really gain comfort in speaking to other people either because of that. So even today, when you tell an adult, just read this book, they look at you like, what? Read a book? I don't like to read. They have an aversion to reading. They never found comfort in being able to read. And I forced myself over time to find a great deal of comfort in reading. A great deal of comfort in reading. And my vocabulary changed. I didn't know my vocabulary was changing, but it changed despite what I was doing. So today, when it comes time for me to do a live on Facebook, or if it comes time for me to speak to another person, or comes time for me to strike up a conversation with somebody I don't know, I don't have any trepidation. There's no fear there. Because I had enough fear over the way I used to speak when I was a child. I had a lot of fear. I had so much fear, I didn't even want to talk to anybody. But it was in the 9th grade where I was in a speech class that I took as a requirement, and I had to give a speech in front of a 9th grade class of students. How's that for trepidation? How's that for fear? How's that for worryation? But I gave that speech. I didn't stutter one time. I didn't stutter one time. Changed my life. And that took me into giving classes for women for rape prevention in my 20s. Took me into being a military police investigator, typing 70 words a minute. Took me into being able to communicate in a manner that I would get results in whatever I said to a person. So when I spoke to an adult, I would get adult responses. When I became an adult, I had no fear of speaking in front of 1,000 people, speaking in front of 10 people, speaking in front of 10,000 people. Didn't bother me because I had basically spoon-fed myself that way over time. Now, I'm not saying that everybody's going to be like me. Everybody doesn't have that fluency in their speech pattern as I do. Some do, some don't. Some don't desire it. But you'd be surprised what you can do if you simply read enough books. And this is a two-sided thing. If you're reading the right books, such as personal development, such as Win Friends and Influence People, like the book behind me, or another book I might read was Think and Grow Rich, powerful book. You read books like that, it'll influence your mind and it'll make you stronger. And you also become a stronger reader too, and a stronger communicator. Just wanted to share that with you. Read. Do your best to read. You've heard Shannon Hamilton talk about reading 2 chapters a day. If the Bible is your book, then you need to read 2 chapters of the Bible. Not just 2 scriptures, 2 chapters. If that's what you want to read. You should be able to articulate what you read. You should be able to share what you read. If you cannot share what you read, you didn't understand it. You may need to read it a second or third time to understand it. Eventually, you'll just have to read it once to fully understand it. And then mull it over. Think it over. Apply it until it becomes yours. And you'll be stronger when it comes time for you to do a live on Facebook, talking about MDC products or whatever product, talking about your life, talking about your children, talking about what you love, talking about your why, talking about what makes you tick, talking about what makes you strong, talking about what you're fearful of. You should be able to cover all those facts. If I ask you to tell me what makes you scared, can you tell me what makes you scared? Can you speak to me and tell me what makes you scared. For the guys that want that lady, can you tell the lady that you're interested in them without some stupid set of catchphrases? You know, can you speak to another person to communicate what you want, to make them want what you want? That's an art form. It's all about being able to have fluency in how you speak. Some of that fluency can be gained by what you read. Hopefully this helps somebody that's looking at this video tonight.